There's a rocket sitting on a pad in Texas right now that might decide whether anybody walks on the moon this decade.
That's a big claim for 6 in the morning.
I'm serious. September 15th. That's the date everyone's circling for Starship Flight 14.
You're listening to Landing the Moon. I'm Blake, that's Max, and yeah, this one actually matters.
Full orbital trajectory this time. Real Starlink satellites going up, not dummy weights.
And the part everybody was buzzing about,
The ship catch, flying the ship itself back to the tower.
quietly not happening anymore.
Wait, hold on, weren't we told that was cleared?
We were.
So what changed?
That's the part we're getting into.
And it's not just internet chatter. This is a call SpaceX itself made, quietly, without a press release.
Which is exactly the kind of thing worth pulling apart instead of just retweeting.
Because the hype train said one thing all summer, and the actual hardware plan just said something else.
Which is kind of the whole story of this program, isn't it?
Every single time.
So let's stop talking about what people hoped and go look at where this thing actually sits on the calendar.
Static fires, FAA sign-off, all of it.
All of it.
So who's actually behind that number people keep repeating?
It's not NASA, it's not SpaceX comms, it's a spaceflight tracker account on X.
A tracker account.
Yeah, pulling from SpaceX's own FAA filings, and something called Cadena airspace docs. Those are the paperwork that clears a rocket to fly through controlled airspace.
So it's not a leak, it's paperwork.
Exactly, public filings, just nobody else bothered to read them.
Walk me through what's actually in a Cadena filing, though. It's not just a date, right?
No, it's closure windows, hazard areas, the whole footprint of airspace they need cleared before they can even attempt ignition. The date falls out of that paperwork. It's not the headline of it.
So the tracker read the footprint and backed into a date.
Basically, Renders engineered it, which is honestly more reliable than most of what gets posted about this program. But it's still someone else's interpretation of a filing, not SpaceX standing up and saying, here's the date.
And when did this post go up?
Late August, collected the 26th.
So a few weeks old already.
Right, and here's the catch. The tracker's own language is or later. That's a not earlier than window, not a promise.
Which is a very different sentence than a launch date.
Completely different. One's a floor, the other's a countdown.
NASA fans hear floor and build a countdown anyway.
Every single time.
Okay, but even with the fuzzy date, what actually makes Flight 14 different from the last 13?
Oh, this is where it gets good.
Go.
This is the first time Starship is supposed to fly a full orbital trajectory, not the suborbital hop and splash pattern they've been doing.
An actual orbit.
An actual orbit, and it's carrying operational Starlink V3 satellites, not mass simulators, not dummy weight, real hardware meant to go into service.
Wait, so if this flight goes sideways, they're not just losing a test article.
They're losing a payload customers were counting on. That's a completely different risk calculus than every flight before it.
So the stakes on this one are stacked. New trajectory, real cargo, and a date that's already soft. 3 variables moving at once instead of 1.
Which is usually when programs like this find a fourth problem.
That's the pattern, yeah.
Let's actually sit with that for a second, because it matters for how we read everything else today. If the trajectory alone were new, that's a normal test flight risk. Add live customer payload, and a failure isn't just a data point. It's a financial hit SpaceX has to explain to Starlink customers.
And a PR hit, because we lost operational satellites reads very differently than we lost mass simulators.
Exactly. So the paperwork tells us when it might fly and what it's carrying.
Right.
None of that tells us if the actual vehicle sitting on the pad is ready to do any of it.
No, it doesn't.
So let's go look at the hardware itself. The ship, the booster, what state they're actually in.
Ship 41, booster 21. Let's see what shape they're really in. While the internet's been arguing about a maybe date, the actual hardware has been busy.
Ship 41 or Booster 21?
Ship 41. NASA Spaceflight.com reported it ran both a single-engine static fire and a full 6-engine static fire in late August.
Both tests. That's the sequence you want before flight. Light one, confirm it's healthy, then light the full set.
Right, and by their account, it passed both.
That sequencing matters. You don't skip straight to lighting all 6 if you haven't proven the first one is clean.
Right, it's a checkpoint system. Fail the single-engine test, and you never get to the six-engine attempt.
Good for the ship. What about the booster?
Here's where it gets messy.
Go on.
The same report says Booster 21 is still sitting in Mega Bay 1 for extra pre-flight work.
Still. Not finished, still.
Still, and it's not routine buttoning up. The piece specifically frames it as SpaceX being careful not to repeat a prior landing burn failure.
Which failure?
They don't spell it out beyond that phrase, but you don't add extra work in the bay unless something on a landing burn bit you before and you don't want it back.
So one vehicle's ready to fly and the other's getting held back because of scar tissue from a burn that didn't go right.
Basically.
That's not a great pairing for a launch that supposedly weeks out.
Why not? Ship's clean?
Because a Starship stack needs both halves. You don't fly Ship 41 without Booster 21 underneath it.
Sure, but extra pre-flight work isn't the same as a redesign.
No, but it's time. And time is the one thing this schedule doesn't have to spare.
You're doing the skeptical banker thing again.
I'm doing the reading the actual report thing. A booster in a bay for additional work, described in terms of avoiding a repeat failure. That's not a company confident enough to rush it out the door.
No argument there. Nobody wants Booster 21 doing an unplanned litho-breaking demo on the tower.
Please don't say litho-breaking.
Too late, it's said.
Fine. But seriously, if they're this deliberate about the booster after one bad landing burn, ask yourself what kind of caution does to a bigger, much riskier maneuver.
The ship catch.
The ship catch. If they won't rush a landing burn fix, why would anyone believe they'd rush the first attempt to catch the ship itself out of the sky?
Huh. Yeah, that same instinct, not repeating a failure, that's basically the whole reason behind a call SpaceX just made on this flight. So remember how we said the catch was a done deal, cleared, confirmed, ready to go?
Right. Tech Times had it locked back on July 30th. The post-flight review on Ship 40 splashdown said it landed precise enough for the tower arms to grab it.
Yeah, well, plot twist. Space News just reported the next flight is now unlikely to even attempt catching the upper stage at the tower.
Wait, unlikely? Not delayed, not pending review, unlikely.
Unlikely. Jeff Faust reporting from August 21st. Somewhere between cleared and now, SpaceX just quietly took the whole thing off the table.
That's not a schedule slip, that's a reversal. Those are different animals.
Totally different animals. And it gets weirder. There's a community tracker on the Starship fandom wiki that dug up a Compass airspace slide.
Compass built the fast AA system for tracking airspace around launches.
Exactly. And that slide shows the September 15th window, but it also cites Musk walking the whole thing back, saying the ship catch happens in a few months, not on this flight.
Not on Flight 14 at all.
Not on Flight 14 at all.
So a month ago, the story is the data proves we're ready, and now the story is a few months, which is doing a lot of work as a phrase.
It's doing the work of an entire quarter, Blake.
Right, because a few months from August could mean November, could mean February. It's not a date, it's a vibe.
And it's not like they gave a hard outer bound either. A few months could just as easily become next year if something else slips.
Right, an unanchored estimate isn't a schedule, it's a placeholder for a schedule.
And that's the thing that gets me. This isn't a random blogger walking it back. This is the company's own reporting arc going from cleared to actually no.
Which tells you something about how much weight to put on any single milestone claim from this program.
Right. You had one outlet say the precision was confirmed, tower ready, go, and weeks later the plan just evaporates.
No public failure, no incident, nothing that forced their hand that we know of.
Nothing we've seen. It just went from a headline to a footnote.
Which either means the data wasn't as clean as that July reporting suggested, or something else is driving caution we're not seeing.
Could be both, but either way, connect the dots here. A catch attempt goes from cleared to a few months out, quietly with zero fanfare.
That's a tell.
That's the clearest tell yet that this program isn't running on the timeline it's been advertising.
And that's just what we can see from watching the hardware and the reporting flip-flop.
Right. That's the pattern from the engineering side of the house.
So now flip to the money side, because there's a federal watchdog that's already put a number on exactly this kind of gap.
GAO didn't pull punches on HLS.
HLS being the Human Landing System, the actual moonlander contract.
Right, the parts SpaceX has to build for Artemis III to work at all. GAO's finding? SpaceX is more than a year behind its original schedule for key milestones.
Which milestones?
The Critical Design Review, CDR, basically the point where the design is locked and you stop redrawing the thing, and the uncrewed lunar landing test.
Both slipped over a year?
Both. Same report came out of coverage on the July 25th test flight.
A year behind on paper always means more than a year in practice. Contractors don't recover time. They lose more of it.
Optimistic as ever.
I want the number to mean something. If CDR is over a year late, what's that do to an actual crewed landing date?
Nobody's saying. That's the maddening part. GAO gives you the delay, not the downstream math.
So NASA's sitting on a lander that's a year plus behind for a mission that's supposed to put boots on the moon.
And here's the part that actually tells you how NASA feels about it. The same reporting notes NASA's been hedging its bet through Blue Origin.
Hedging how?
Running Blue Origin's lander program in parallel, not waiting around for SpaceX to catch up.
You don't hedge a bet you're confident in.
No, you don't.
And it's not like Blue Origin's lander's flying tomorrow either. It's a hedge, not a rescue.
Sure, but a hedge that exists at all tells you NASA isn't betting the whole program on one contractor anymore.
That's the tell I actually trust, not the press release, the backup contract.
Institutions vote with budget lines, not talking points.
So walk me through what more than a year behind gets you concretely. Is that a 2027 landing? 2028?
GAO doesn't give a revised date. It gives you the gap and lets you do the arithmetic.
Which is its own kind of answer. If the watchdog won't commit to a new date, that's because nobody inside the program will either.
That's bleak, but yeah.
It's not bleak, it's just what a stalled critical path looks like from the outside.
Fair, and it lines up with everything we just walked through on the hardware side.
Same pattern, different agency confirming it. Which brings me to the guy who's supposed to be running interference on exactly this, Jared Isaacman.
NASA's own administrator.
He's been out there publicly promising a launch cadence. I want to hold him to the actual words he used.
Oh, I've got notes on this one.
Good, because I don't think the math survives contact with what GAO just laid out.
So Isaacman stands up at Kennedy Space Center on August 14 and just hands SpaceX a gift.
What'd he say?
He says he's expecting Flight 14 early September, and then he floats this cadence goal, Starship flying potentially every couple weeks to build NASA's confidence in it for Artemis III.
Every couple weeks.
Every couple weeks.
Max, walk me through what that actually requires on the ground.
A booster and a ship ready to stack, a pad that's cleared, and a licensing change that doesn't need a fresh review each time.
And where are we on any of that?
Nowhere close. One booster's still getting extra work in the bay, one ship just finished its fires. That's one flight's worth of hardware, barely.
So the fleet isn't there.
There's no fleet. There's one vehicle stack, moving through one review cycle, one time.
Right, and the FAA license for each flight isn't instant either.
No, every Starship flight so far has needed its own license amendment or review, and those don't move on a 2-week clock.
How long does none of those amendments typically take?
It varies flight to flight, but historically there's always been some lag between the hardware being ready and the FAA actually signing off. That lag alone eats into any 2-week window before the rocket even reaches the pad.
So even if the hardware showed up on schedule, the review process alone could blow the 2-week window.
Right. Licensing wasn't built for a cadence like that. It was built for one-off flights with a lot of scrutiny each time.
So he's not describing 2026.
He's describing a future where the whole pipeline, build, test, review, are running in parallel across multiple vehicles. That's not what's happening right now.
So it's aspirational.
It's a target you set once you already have 3 or 4 ships ready to go, not when you've got exactly one that just cleared static fire.
Could that gap close by year-end?
Sure, if Starbase starts stamping out ships and boosters faster than it has all year. Nothing in what we've seen this month says that's about to happen.
What would actually convince you the cadence claim is real? Multiple ships in final assembly at once.
That, plus boosters that aren't pulling extra work in the bay, plus a track record of license turnarounds happening back-to-back instead of one at a time. Right now, we've got none of those 3 keys.
So here's what's bugging me. He's the NASA administrator. Setting expectations that outrun the hardware is normally not his job. It's SpaceX's marketing department's job.
Right, usually the agency's the one demanding the receipts, not writing the press release for the guy building the rocket.
So why is he out front doing it?
Spaceflight Now reported Isaacman telling reporters he's extremely confident about an Artemis III launch in 2027, same breath as that early September expectation.
Extremely confident. Not on track, not targeting, extremely confident.
That's a specific word choice.
It's a confidence word, not a schedule word. And in saying it days after Spaceflight Now is the outlet reporting the GAO's finding on how far behind HLS actually is.
Same publication, basically the same window, two completely different stories.
One story, the contractor's office on milestones. Other story, the guy running the agency says, trust me, 2027.
When you put it next to each other, it sounds a little unhinged.
It's not unhinged, it's just politics wearing an engineering hat.
Wait, isn't GAO supposed to be the skeptic in this relationship? Why is he out front instead of them?
That's my actual problem. GAO's job is oversight. Isaacman's job is running the agency that holds the contract. Instead of leaning on his own oversight finding, he's out front doing the cheerleading SpaceX usually does for itself.
So SpaceX's PR team could have written that quote.
Could have, word for word.
Unless he can't say the other thing, unless admitting the gap means 2027's the one that's actually at risk.
Sure, but there's a difference between managing morale and skipping the hard part.
Skipping the hard part gets you a headline instead of a fix.
And he ran a company before this. He knows what a real schedule review looks like.
Which makes the silence even louder, honestly. He's not someone who doesn't understand what a red schedule looks like.
Exactly. This isn't naivety. It's a choice about which number to say out loud.
So why not run one out loud?
Because a public schedule review admits the thing GAO already put on paper,
which nobody wants attached to their name while Congress is staring at NASA's budget anyway.
There it is. That's the incentive.
And it costs SpaceX nothing either. They get to keep saying, as NASA's own administrator confirms, without ever putting a number on paper themselves.
Which is a pretty efficient way to outsource your optimism.
Confidence is free. A revised date costs you the headline you don't want.
And SpaceX gets a NASA administrator saying the optimistic part so they don't have to.
Which, if you're SpaceX, is a pretty good deal.
It's a great deal. Promotion without the accountability.
So whatever day this actually launches on, it's landing right in the middle of that split.
Confidence on one side, the oversight finding on the other, and Flight 14 sitting right between them going into next month's window.
Okay, my prediction, Ship 41 flies, but not on the 15th. I'm saying last week of September, and the catch stays shelved.
I'll take the other side of that. I think the catch comes back onto the manifest before launch, just to give Isaacman something to point at.
Ooh, bold.
Watch, someone leaks a slide next week saying it's back under evaluation.
You just want to be right about the PR thing again.
Maybe, but if Booster 21's still in the bay in 3 weeks, my data's dead too.
Fair. Let's actually check both of these next episode instead of just moving on.
Agreed. Receipts or it didn't happen.
If you want to hold us to it, that's exactly why you should stick around. Subscribe and send this one to somebody who thinks Starship already flew to orbit.
Share it, argue with us in the replies, all of it helps.
And hey, if Flight 14 slips to October, I called it first.
You called 2 different weeks in one sentence just now.
I contain multitudes, Blake.
Sure you do. See everyone next month.